Hi everyone, I'm back with another story from Princess Mirror-Belle. It's Ellen's Castle. Are you ready? Alright, I'm gonna read it now. Ellen and her mother were in one of the changing rooms of a big department store. They were supposed to be buying a dress for Ellen to wear to her grown-up cousin's wedding, but nothing seemed to fit or look right. "That greeny blue color suits you," said Ellen's mom, "but it's too tight. I'll go and see if they've got a bigger size." Ellen didn't really care what dress she wore to the wedding. She was going to wear that. No one would be looking at her since she hadn't been asked to be a bridesmaid, something she felt a bit cross about. She practiced making her most hideous face at herself in the mirror, the one where her eyeballs rolled up and almost out of sight, and her bottom lip jutted over the top one. If she did that at the wedding, people would look at her. But of course, she'd be too shy to do it when the time came. This time, though, the face didn't seem to be working properly. The eyeballs in the mirror rolled back to normal. The mouth went back to its ordinary shape, then opened and said, "You look just like that wicked fairy, the one who pricked my finger." "Mirror-Belle," exclaimed Ellen. "What are you doing here?" Mirror-Belle stepped out of the mirror. She was wearing a too-tight, greeny blue dress just like the one Ellen had on. "I see you've moved house," she said, looking around her. That's Ellen and Princess Mirror-Belle. "This isn't a house, it's a shop," said Ellen. But Mirror-Belle wasn't listening. She had picked up Ellen's coat from the floor where it was lying inside out and was putting it on that way so that the tartan lining was on the outside. "Not bad," she said, looking at her reflection. "Then come on, let's see what you'll cook." Come on, let's see what your cook has made for lunch." And she walked out of the changing room. "No, stop!" cried Ellen. "Give me back my coat." She ran after Mirror-Belle, who was merrily weaving her way around the rails and stands of clothes. "You have got a lot of clothes," she said when Ellen caught up with her. "Almost as many as me, though not such beautiful ones, of course." That's Ellen and Princess Mirror-Belle. "I don't suppose you've got a ball gown made of rose petals stitched together with spider's thread, have you?" "No, I haven't," said Ellen, "but I don't think I'd want one. Wouldn't the rose petals shrivel up and die?" Mirror-Belle thought for a moment and then said, "No, they've been dipped in a magic fountain which keeps them fresh forever." But by this stage, they had reached the escalator. Mirror-Belle hopped onto it. "This is fun," she said. "Does it go down to the dungeons?" "No," said Ellen, riding down beside her. "It goes down to the food department, the banqueting hall." "Do you mean?" asked Mirror-Belle. "Oh, good. I'm starving." She skipped off the escalator. They were in the fruit and vegetable section of the food department. Mirror-Belle picked up a potato and put it down again in disgust. "It's raw," she said. "How does your cook expect us to eat that?" She inspected the cabbages and cauliflowers. "What sort of banquet is this supposed to be?" she asked. "None of the food is cooked at all." "It's not supposed to be cooked. People take it home to cook," Ellen tried to explain. "Look, Mirror-Belle, do give me back my raincoat. I must get back to Mom. These apples look all right," said Mirror-Belle, picking up one and taking a large bite out of it. She picked up another one and did the same. "With green and red apples like this, I only ever bite the green side," she explained. "You can't be too careful. There could be a wicked queen going around putting poison into the red sides. Look what happened to my friend Snow White." She took a bite out of another apple. Just then, a shop assistant came up. "Stop eating the fruit," she said to Mirror-Belle. "Start cooking the vegetable," Mirror-Belle said back to her. The shop assistant looked startled and asked Mirror-Belle where her mom or dad was. "Sitting on their throne, I expect," said Mirror-Belle. "Come on, Ellen, let's go and play in your bedroom." Sitting on their thrones. And she grabbed Ellen's hand and pulled her into a lift. Does this go up to the battlements? She asked as the door closed. No, said Alan. You seem to think this is some kind of castle, but it's not. It's a here's your bedroom, said Mirabelle as the lift doors opened on the second floor. They were in the furniture department. Mirabelle darted past some armchairs and sofas to an area full of beds and mattresses. She flung herself down on a double bed and almost immediately sprang off it again. I hope you don't sleep on that one, she said. I certainly couldn't sleep a wink on it. No, I don't, said Alan. This isn't my... good, said Mirabelle, because there's pee under the mattress. How do you know? We princesses can always tell, said Mirabelle, and she flopped down onto another bed. Ah, she said, there's a baked beans under this one, horribly lumpy. Lie down and maybe you'll be able to feel it too. Ellen giggled. She looked around. There wasn't a shop assistant in sight. She lay down on the bed next to Mirabelle. It felt wonderfully springy and comfortable. I can't feel anything, she said. That must be because you're not a princess, said Mirabelle. Ordinary people have to bounce to detect peas and beans under mattresses like this. She got to her feet and began to jump up and down on the bed. Okay, it's them on the bed. Now, they're bouncing up and down on the bed. Come on, she said. Ellen looked around again. There were still no shop assistants to be seen. She joined Mirabelle, and soon the two of them were bouncing about on the bed, making the springs of the mattress twang. Twing, wing, wing. Twing, wing, wing. This is nearly as good as the school trampoline, Ellen said breathlessly. It's not as good as the palace trampoline, said Mirabelle. I once bounced right up into the clouds from that. Did you come down all right? No, I didn't, said Mirabelle. The north wind saw me up there and swept me away to the land of ice. What happened then? But Ellen never found out because at that moment an angry-looking shop assistant came towards them. Quick, let's run, Ellen said, but Mirabelle had a different idea. She jumped off the bed and advanced towards the assistants as angrily as he was advancing towards them. Ah, there you are at last, he said, before he had a chance to speak. I want to complain about the state of this bedroom. Peas and beans under all the mattresses is disgraceful. Set to work removing them immediately or you'll be fired from the castle. And with that, she linked her arm in Ellen's, turned and strode off toward the escalator. The shop assistant was left gawping as they sailed up to the toy department. So this is your playroom, is it? Asked Mirabelle. Ellen tried to explain that they weren't her toys, but Mirabelle was already emptying the pieces of jigsaw puzzle out onto the floor. Too much sky in this one, she said, and moved on. Aren't you going to clear it up? Asked Ellen. What, and let your lazy servants get even lazier? Certainly not. Mirabelle continued down the aisle of toys, emptying out various boxes, not satisfied till she reached a shelf full of cuddly toys. There were teddies and rabbits and puppies and monkeys. There they are. But Mirabelle picked up a furry green frog and kissed it on the nose. That's the furry green frog. And kissed it on the nose. Why are you doing that? Ellen asked. I'm turning him into a prince, said Mirabelle. Princesses can do that, you know. Even furry frogs? Yes, they just turn into furry prince. That's all. This one seems to want to stay a frog, though, said Mirabelle. All right, you silly creature, away you leap. And she threw the frog across the shop and turned her attention to a teddy. I've never tried it on a bear, she said, but Ellen had noticed a man coming towards them from about where the frog must have landed. He looked even crosser than the bad man had done. She tugged at Mirabelle's sleeve in alarm, but Mirabelle looked delighted to see the man. Don't you see it's the prince? She said. He doesn't look a very nice prince, but mind you, She went on as the men drew closer. "You're not very furry either," as he came right up to them, "unless you count your funny woolly mustache." "What do you think you're doing?" the man asked. "Aren't you going to say thank you?" Mirabelle said to him. "What, for throwing toys around?" "No, for breaking the spell, of course," said Mirabelle. "Though I'd known what a bad-tempered prince you turned out to be, I wouldn't have bothered. Can't say I blame that witch for turning you into a frog in the first place. Come on, Alan." She turned and walked briskly away, calling over her shoulders, "And if you think you're going to marry me, you've got another thing coming." The man stood rooted to the spot for a few moments, too astounded to follow them. By the time he did, Mirabelle and Alan had dived into a lift. Mirabelle pressed the top button. "Perhaps this'll take us to the battlements at last," she said. "It says offices only," said Alan. When they got out, they were in a corridor with a few doors leading off it. One of the doors was ajar, and Alan could hear a familiar voice coming from it. "Who do you think is coming?" I only went out for a couple of minutes to look for another dress, and when I got back, she'd gone." Ellen couldn't bear to hear Mom sounding so upset. "Come with me," she said to Mirabelle, and ran into the room. Her mother was there with another lady. "Oh, there you are, darling," said Mom, hugging her. That's Mom and the other lady. Where have you been?" she asked. With Mirabelle. She took my coat, so I had to follow her," said Alan. "She's just outside." She took her mother's hand and pulled her into the corridor. There was no one there. "You didn't mention another little girl," said the shop lady to Mom. "There isn't one, really. It's just my daughter's imaginary friend." "She is not my imaginary. She's real," Alan protested. The light outside the lift showed that it was still on the top floor. "She must be in here," said Alan, pressing the button. The doors opened. Apart from a crumpled raincoat with a tartan lining lying on the floor, the lift was empty. Where on earth was Princess Mirror-Belle? It was only then that Alan noticed something which she should have spotted before. "Where's Princess Mirror-Belle?" The wall of the lift were covered in mirrors. Princess Mirror-Belle had disappeared. Oh no. Okay, so if you want to know what's going to happen next, tomorrow I'm gonna be reading Princess Mirror-Belle and Snow White. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye.